If there's one word I'd use to describe the map in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, it would be gigantic. It's no secret that this is by far the biggest game in the franchise's history. But how big is it? Trying to accurately determine the size of a game world can be incredibly difficult, especially when you're given no units of measure, and calculating it wrong can get you in a little bit of hot water sometimes. In a fair chunk of open world games, you aren't given much of a clue as to the actual size of the games mapped by the numbers because oftentimes, game designers want game worlds to seem bigger than they actually are. Hell, why wouldn't they? With the amount of time and megabytes it takes to make a massive open world, being able to work in a limited space and make that space feel huge and alive is undeniably important. It's obvious that this is done quite a bit in Breath of the Wild, as the incredibly mountainous topography of the map makes the y-axis just as important as the x and z, if not more. Mountains aside though, just how big is the map? Well, surprisingly enough, you are given units of distance traveled in the game. Kinda. If you visit the Ridgeland Tower in Central Hyrule, you'll come across a man named Bronley, who will provide you access to a mini-game where you must glide as far as possible in one run. The most important thing here, your distance is measured in meters. So now we've got a starting point, albeit a bit of a rough one. You see, gliding from the top of a tower to the ground forms what will become the hypotenuse of a triangle that we'll be using to calculate the distance. What we're trying to figure out is the bottom side of the triangle that runs along the ground. So in order to do this, we're going to have to work out how tall the tower is so we can use the old Pythagorean theorem that we all learned in middle school. First number we're going to find is the height of the tower. In order to get the most accurate results, I glided from the top to the bottom of the tower 5 times, knowing there would be room for error, as floating straight to the ground can sometimes be difficult to do in a perfectly straight line. Taking those 5 numbers, I then averaged them. The Ridgeland Tower is roughly 75.14 meters tall. Next, I had to find somewhere on the map I could glide to in a straight line that was the closest thing to level with the pool of water at the bottom of the tower, in order for this to be the closest thing I could get to a right triangle. It's this mushroom platform over here. Next step is gliding down to it and recording that distance, 340.2 meters. So now all we've got to do is complete the theorem, and 331.79816 meters. We'll round that to 331.8 meters. So now we know the size of this little portion of the map in meters, and all it's left to do is stack these 331.8 meter increments, one on top of the other at the edge of the map. As you can see, there's around 28.25 of them on the vertical axis, and seeing how the map is indeed a square, it's 28.25 on the horizontal axis of the map as well. Breath of the Wild by these measurements is 9,373.35 meters by 9,373.35 meters, or 9.37 kilometers. In freedom units, that's 5.8 miles. And the area of the map of Hyrule in Breath of the Wild is 87.86 kilometers squared, or 33.64 miles squared. While that may seem smaller to some other open world games, where Breath of the Wild really shines is with its environments and topography. With so many mountains to climb and caverns to explore, that's what really helps make Breath of the Wild just so massive. Thanks for watching. Keep in mind that these numbers are really estimates calculated from estimates. While I do think this accurately represents the size of the map, if any of you have any ideas about more accurate calculations, comment them below. I'd love to hear it. If you enjoyed the video, why not take a sec to like it, or, maybe even subscribe? Or don't. I'm not gonna push you into anything, but yeah, I'd really appreciate it. I'll go now.